Hi, shalom everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Crossing Boundaries, Global Connections and Conversations. Today we'll be traveling to Colombia, learning about this incredible Latin American country. I'm Kim Passi Yosef, talking to you today from Tel Aviv, Israel, and together with me is one of our amazing co-founders, Aziza Busera. Thanks again for joining, and welcome for those who are first-timers.
Thank you, Kim. It's great to be together. I'm very happy that we are hosting also two amazing friends, Miguel and Maria, both coming from Colombia, a country that is very, very dear to my heart, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it as we going through today. Miguel is the CEO of Awake, which is an adventure company, tour operator in Colombia, and we'll talk more about it. And then Maria is the CEO and founder of 321 Colombia, which is focused on food and fruits and so on. And we'll talk about that as well. And she's joining us from her kitchen, which is awesome.
Yeah, we'll get back to the kitchen later. Why don't we start with giving our listeners a little bit of background about the country. Miguel, can you talk to us a bit about the politics? We know that there were a lot of shifts and changes in Colombia. It's a big country, 50 million people. Can you start us off with a little overview?
Okay, well, Colombia is this country in the northern part of South America. And it's a diverse country which has a lot of landscapes and different cultures. And like for what we've been known recently, and I think it's a historic stage for the country and process, is that we recently signed the peace process with the FARC guerrilla. So what this have meant for this country is that a lot of remote places that are pristine and beautiful have been opened up for tourism. And tourism has been a tool for overcoming the illegal markets of drug dealing or coca crops. It has been a tool for empowering and improving the livelihoods of a lot of people in the rural areas of the country. And it has been a tool for consolidating the trust among people because tourism is a sector an activity that has to be done through collaboration. And with this, in Awake, we have been like traveling around the country and in these rural and remote places, talking to people and connecting them to make them able for travelers to join them in experiences in the most amazing places of the country. And I think that's very important for Colombia because I know that the world has seen us as an unsafe country, as a conflict country, and we are very well known because of narcos and Pablo Escobar and all that. And yeah, that's true, that's part of our history. But the most important thing, I think, is the resilience of the country, because we have been able to overcome and keep fighting and keep improving in a conflict that has taken place for 50 years. The FARC guerrilla was the oldest guerrilla in the world. They had a lot of power and control in different territories. And this has meant, obviously, there have been polarization, and you know that building peace, it takes time. We are just beginning to implement and consolidating the peace process, and there are a lot of challenges. We still have some problems, but they are focalized in a few small areas of the country. And the main majority of Colombia now has a lot of people that is willing to receive tourists, to share with them the experiences and the huge diversity naturally, culturally, and historically. we are also a country of cities and remote places at the same time. So it's very interesting because right now I'm here in my house in Bogota, which is a big city of 8 million people, very like safe and very diverse, because a lot of people from all over the country come here to work and study, and has been like a multicultural city among the country. And we also have great cities like the city of the salsa, one of the most important cities in the history of salsa music is Cali, and several famous performers came to Cali to live there, like Hector Lavoe, for example, for a while. He was from La Fania in New York. We also have Barranquilla, which is a coastal city, and Santa Marta in the Caribbean, and Cartagena, which
And
are
Miguel,
historical.
we will ask you a lot more about the diversity.
So, yeah, I was extending a little bit because I get very excited to talk about Colombia, but yeah, let's keep on going.
And having been in Colombia with you, I totally get it. But before we go into that, I want to ask Maria, maybe you can share to us a little bit. When I met you, it was the peace process going on in Colombia. I think I was there doing a talk for the Ministry of Tourism in Colombia, and they invited tour guides and tour operators, and I was talking about how to use the stories from conflict in your tours, and that's when we ended up meeting for the first time. How did the peace process affect Colombia as a whole, and maybe the tourism world in specifically?
Well, first, hello to everyone. Such a pleasure to be in this live stream for all of you. I believe peace agreement was a huge advance for Colombia. Like definitely any group of people that decide to come together to peace instead of fighting is good news wherever you are, right? So of course it is a very complex situation, because you have all this violence tradition in Colombia. It's Colombia, you need to understand it from a point of view where all these people have never really have a real peace. So it's really difficult to imagine how that feels like, how that looks like, since colonization through inside moments is like we have never have peace with all the political development. We have never have peace. So when you start approaching that subject from tourism, you open a cultural point of view that allows to heal, and that's the most beautiful thing to happen. Number one, more people is willing to travel to the country, but number two, you use culture as the glue to take development and healing into the people, and that's so beautiful. So I really believe is the right path, but at the same time, since you were here, most of the peace agreement haven't been implemented. So that's a big challenge nowadays for Colombia, because all these people are waiting for the government to take a lead on promises that are not going as well as that could be. So for me, the question is how tourism can start supporting that programs, or like make this kind of inclusion, because we definitely see there is a gap to fill. And well, I'm positive maybe tourism, and especially of course gastronomy tourism, can make a big part on that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, who better than Majdi to agree with what you said right now? And Miguel, I know that you also have been using poachers and militants and bringing them into the tourism world. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, we mainly have worked in the rural and remote places of Colombia, and there has those places are where the conflict took place. So we have been able to work with different people that had were affected or were actors of the conflict. I will give you some examples. For example, our main partner in a place called Caño Cristales, which is a beautiful purple river, and it's been said that it's one of the most beautiful rivers in the world. That one that you're seeing there. Jairo, which is our local host there, he used to be a coca leaf collector, and he made his living out of the coca crops. We started working with him like 5 years ago, and he has been able to be now one of the main local tour operators in this amazing place, sharing tourism and working in conservation of the surrounding areas of Caño Cristales. We also have been able to work with former FARC combatants in San Vicente del Caguán, in a rafting project that they are implementing. Right now, we are just doing we are starting by creating the offer, the experiences, and starting to work with them to be able to offer that to our travelers. We also have been able to work with former paramilitary members of paramilitary groups in the Caribbean, in the Lost City, which is an archaeological site in Colombia, and they are now former paramilitaries that are now guides guiding jungle tours. And that's a story that we've seen a lot, and some are actors of the conflict as well as victims of the conflict. And it's very difficult to judge or to see the things black or white, as I know that Meshdi with their multi-narrative tours does. And I think that Colombia is a perfect place to see that. And that's what I can tell you about our experience regarding that matter.
And in my experience in Colombia, and when I came and met with tour guides and tour operators there with ProColombia, the ministry basically for tourism, I was really impressed of how a lot of countries that go through conflicts, when they open their world to tourism, they try to brush it under a rug and say, everything is perfect, we had no problems here, come and enjoy how beautiful the country is. And Colombia is unique in the sense people like you, Miguel, and Maria, and a few others I met felt that, no, we have to bring the stories of everybody. We can't just say, everything is perfect, ignore we ever had any problems. And by doing that, I think you encourage more people to go there. You encourage more people to buy into it. And maybe my next question to you, Maria, is the other issue in Colombia today is millions of Venezuelan refugees coming in. And I wonder, how is that affecting the country, people, and the travel industry? Because, you know, the travel industry always is one of the largest industries in the world. And I'm sure some of these Venezuelan refugees ended up working in travel as well.
Well, and please, anything I say today, if you agree, take it in, and if you don't, let it go, as I always say. But I feel so positive about that, because I believe Venezuelans bring a very different point of view of Colombians in areas as customer service, and like their industry out of their good times was so developed that they definitely bring this willingness to work and this different point of view on how to make it happen here in Colombia. And I found that so rich. And it's also this like brotherhood that allows, like, I really believe the people of Colombia knew millions of Colombia have to go to Venezuela some years ago. So now is this kind of return the favor, and more than that is just the deep understanding as humans of how bad the situation can go and how much familiar hand can help, and the resilience that is the magic of this country. So in terms of tourism, is also very good opportunity because most of these people that have low incomes and like very difficult times can find jobs as waiters, as like in the local markets, as where I work the most. You can see them like a lot of population going there. So it's definitely more opportunities. Nowadays, the problem is that with the crisis and all this coronavirus, it's very, very hard for them to, number one, have a job, because most of these jobs are daily basis jobs, right? So all of that is closed. And then now it's like this feeling that anyone can get related to. I need to go to protect my family, and I now need to go to serve. How is my mom that can no longer go away of the house or wherever? So what's happening right now is a lot of the migration is going back to Venezuela. And that's very challenging, as you can see, because of the proximity to other people, because of the lack of good health or any kind of wellness. So it's very difficult, but I feel optimistic when I say this exchange of cultures will benefit us all.
Thanks, Maria. Miguel, I think it's a good time to go back to the diversity of Colombia if we're already talking about people coming in and going out. Can you talk a bit about how you also incorporate this diversity in tours?
Yeah, well, for example, our purpose Colombia has a characteristic, and is the most biodiverse country per square meter, but also is the second one in socio-environmental conflicts after India. And it's also a unique, like, we have a lot of inequalities, and most of those inequalities are represented in the inequality between the urban places and the rural places. But we also are a multicultural country. We have 67 languages spoken here in Colombia, from like around 70 different ethnicities and communities, indigenous communities. And what makes Colombia unique, it's its geographical position, because here we find the conversion of 5 main regions that make this diversity expressed in all these things, which is the Amazon, the Orinoco Basin, the Andes mountain range, the Pacific coast, and the Caribbean coast. And with that mix, we find a lot of different landscapes and amazing places. We can go from snow mountains all over the year to the beach in just 100 kilometers, which is crazy. And you find all the weathers. You can find also Colombia is a country of different regions because of the mountains. The regions developed in a very separate way. So we have different medicines, cultures, different food in all the regions of the country. So I love to travel around Colombia. That's why we started Awake in a first place. And it's because
yeah,
you
you're
can,
making us envious too. We want
yeah,
to see all
yeah,
these
you
places.
can you can find like a lot of different countries and realities in a very
Yeah.
short, like in a very small territory and with very short trips. And I think that that's what's make Colombia unique and beautiful. And
That's amazing.
and the diversity is actually, the diversity is one of the causes of the conflict, but it's also one of the main blessings that Colombia has.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're talking about diversity, I think Maria, you took this diversity to a different dimension, which is the food, and decided to choose, you know, this culinary tourism. Can you tell us about your company, your job?
Yes. So in 321 Colombia, the basis is like we can use gastronomy as the most delicious way to increase the consumption of agricultural goods and just the awareness about that. Because one of the hiding outcomes of war is that you, as Colombian, are grow thinking you are on a poor country, which is not true, I believe, because of all the diversity, but also that all these fruits and all this heritage, you just don't know it, right? Um, you don't know where they saw what or how you consume this or that. So if we can show you different fruits, different products, different ways people is doing it, then you can start to taking care of that and be encouraged to have a more diverse diet. So that images you put of the fruit tour and the work we do with these local markets that are and have ever been the center of civilizations, and where you found these mystic and incredible collapse of different ways of seeing things, different colors, different flavors, different music, different everything. Today, for example, I want to show you, and that's one of the most amazing things of Colombia. Let me pick my knife. I have you here in my kitchen.
Maybe
Um,
before you do that,
I thought that was going to be more interesting. So this is very intimate to me, but I hope you enjoy. Don't judge the mess, please. But here I have, for example, some of the fruits you can have in Colombia, in Bogota right now. And that's so beautiful. People don't know, but Colombia is the country with the biggest diversity of fruits in the world. So definitely, and this is quarantine, you guys, like these have been stopped for the last month. And still I can have pineapples. This is some of our bank of seeds, which I'm gonna explain later. But for example, we make awareness of how you can save your seeds and contribute. We have pineapples, plantains, which I promise Aziz I'm gonna show you a little recipe about. 3 different kinds of avos. Here in Colombia, like avocados can go the size of your head. So that's really good news when you come visit. And here, for example, lemons, mandarins, mangosteens. Mangosteens are extra beautiful and like they come branded in the bottom. And pears like guanabana, pitaya, and everything is just like so amazing. So that's one of the things we need to protect, because if we don't consume, and this is the major point in here, 70% of Colombians never eat fruits or veggies on their daily basis. So if you don't eat the fruit, farmers and agricultors have no incentives to keep producing it. And then you break the whole thing. So in the case of the city, let's imagine if this is Bogota, and the message Miguel gave is so important, and I agree so deeply, because from Bogota to, let's say, 100 kilometers around, you will find from sea level to snow peaks, making every weather in the world. And that means you can produce anything you wanna, and you can go and visit all these amazing landscapes, and then you can enjoy all of that in your kitchen as well. So that's what we are here for, right?
Can we Shannon, play the video when Maria took me to the market? Because in the
Oh, there is a video.
in the beginning, I thought, oh, this is gonna be, you know, fun. I've traveled a lot. I've tried tons of fruits and veggies and all of that everywhere. And Maria promised that at least I will find one thing I have not tried before. And there was way more than just one thing. And I tried everything not knowing how it's gonna taste. And she didn't give me any heads up of how it's gonna taste. So this is reaction to one of those. Let's watch. I have no idea how my face looks like.
It was a sour one. As this is not good with the sour ones, you guys.
Extreme. So I know what I said here. I said this was one of the most delicious thing I've ever had, and I think that's what's amazing about these stories.
Remember the name of that one?
No, I don't.
It's the gulupa. It's a passion fruit.
But I tried other passion fruit that I didn't like as much, but this
No,
one, incredible.
it's different.
And
Yes.
and this is, I think, we talk about travel a lot as seeing things, but to us, travel, and I think to you both, travel is about an experience and about, we say, collecting instead of photos and stuff like that. It's really collecting memories and making friends. That's how it works. And I've traveled with you, Maria, a few times in Bogota, and with you, Miguel, in like 2-3 different continents. We've been all over the world together. And one of our trips, we were together in Chile. We were invited to work with a local community in Patagonia and how to do tours that are similar to kind of tours you're doing and we are doing, and partner together with locals there. And a Colombian and a Palestinian together is going to get in a problem at some point, because this is a terrible combination. And I forgot my sweater. Actually, I'm not gonna tell you which one. I forgot one of my very favorite sweaters in a hotel that we stayed in, a hostel hotel that we stayed in. And we wanted to go retrieve it before we go to the airport. It was 4 a.m. And when we got there, the hotel was locked. And Miguel, you came up with an idea how I can get my sweater, because I was ready to give up. And you were so hard into like, no, we're gonna get your sweater. You wanna remind us?
Yeah, well, we, in the door, we started knocking like crazy at the door because we didn't know how to get into the hostel. And then one person that was sleeping, a guest, he came out and opened the hostel for us. He thought that we were staying in, and he let us in. And then we started just looking like crazy all over the reception for the sweater, and all the cabinets were closed and we didn't find it. So then we looked for the hidden keys. There, you know, every reception there are hidden keys. And I said like, hey, let's look for the hidden keys. And we found them and started opening all the cabinets in the reception like crazy. And we were like, okay, let's see what happens. And then we found the sweater.
That's what I was sure we are going to jail. By the way, that's us in the airport, in the plane, because we were sure we're gonna get arrested. There were cameras all over, and we're like, You know, if a Palestinian and a Colombian get caught in Chile doing that, there's no way it's the government that, oh, we just for my sweater. I was sure we were gonna take to prison. I'm wearing that sweater today, so thank you for helping me recover it.
It's one of your favorite sweaters, right?
It is. That's why
And now it's more.
I'm right. Good story with that sweater, and that's, I think maybe I'll lead that into a question. That's, I think, what, when I tell people I'm going to Colombia, and I remember first time I went to Colombia, people scared me so much about going to Colombia. First, it sounded so far away, and just so you know, from Washington, D.C. to Bogota took me the same time it would take me to go to Los Angeles. It's like under 5 hours direct flight. And it was exactly the opposite of what everybody told me. It was not scary. People extremely welcoming. I mean, I met Maria, like I said, in an event, and so many people came and they're like, come out, let's go have a drink together. We're gonna teach you how to do salsa. And it's people I didn't know before. And it's just every experience. And I've been to all the places you mentioned, from Barranquilla to Cartagena to Cali. Same, people told me if you go to Cali, you're gonna get killed for sure. And it's just the amount of scaring that go on and the amount of fear that is not true about Colombia is overwhelming. Do you want to just mention that, talk about that briefly? I mean,
Yeah, I think that one, as you were saying before, one of the most amazing things of travel is to meet people, and it goes way beyond the pictures you take. And one of those things is the culture and the warming and the warm like culture and welcoming culture of Colombians in general. So you as a traveler that go to different places, you are always welcomed. You are always treated really well, and people is really humble in the way they treat, and they want to serve, and they want to be useful for travelers and for foreigners. And that makes a lot of difference in the experience you feel and the way you get you interact with the culture and with the people, because you really get to know. And another thing of that culture is that we are super fun to party. So the dance here in Colombia, it's a part, and the music and the party, I think it has been our healing strategy throughout these 50 years of conflict. So there is always a way to party, a reason to party, and you will always find, in any place that you are in the country, you will find a nice party to participate with a lot of the music that we have, but also from all over the world, and from Bogota to Cali to the coast, you will find different music, but always there is like a constant thing, which is the party spirit in the people.
Thanks, Miguel. I'm going to take us back into the party in Maria's kitchen, for Maria to show us a recipe of one of her favorites.
Cool.
Excellent.
I just have to say I agree with that one too. Because for me, for example, like, you can find delicious food anywhere. You can find, like, you know, like a lot of good stuff anywhere you travel. But Colombian party is like the cherry of the pie. So definitely that. So today, first, what I did, and this is like the thing I want you to remember the most of me being here for you, is try to include diverse ingredients into your dishes, because your world can only be as diverse as your dish is. That means that if you only put one ingredient or one species of that ingredient in your dish, you are supporting only monocultives or only one species. So make it as diverse as you can, go through the traditional dishes that shares a lot of that. If not, invent your own one. Go support your local market where you can find the most diversity. Here, for example, I have a mango ceviche for you guys. I use this Tommy mango, which is one of the species. And then here I have sugar mango, which is two different ones. So that comes all together with some onions, coriander, tomatoes, and then ta-da! Here you have it. It's a ceviche mango, and yeah, you can mostly use it on top of anything like this. I split a lot, but I enjoy like getting dirty. And then here you have the plantain. So I make it this for you to understand it. First, you cut it in like raw little pieces. Then you put it into super hot oil until it's dark, and then you smash it and broil again. And that's how you make Caribbean plantains, they call. They are amazing, and you can put, I make this morning. This is the ogao sauce. So it's a delicious mix of mostly onions and tomatoes, and you can put it into everything. How I do is I'm gonna make a delicious mix. So just put my plantain with some mango ceviche, because why not?
That's
You can improve this using apple as well.
tell
And
who are listening to us that all these recipes were sent to those who are on our mailing list. So you would have received, if you're not on our mailing list, please sign up and you would receive those recipes. And this looks so delicious. You are torturing us right now. This is not fair.
it's so good, I have to tell you. And yeah, so what I want to say the least is Colombia brings that possibility into your life of put inside your body all these happiness through all these vitamins and through all these different ingredients that sustains the ecosystem around Colombia. That is what gives us such magical people, so different music, rhythms, languages, landscapes, anything you wanna. And that's the amazing thing of coming here. So yeah.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
next year we are running 4 trips, hopefully, to Colombia. We are keeping our fingers crossed where we everything works well and people travel back again soon. And I'm very excited because you are, Maria, and all these tours, and Miguel, you inspired us to start doing more adventure tours, because the truth is a multiple narrative isn't only in the cities, obviously, and you can hike and still hear multiple narratives, like you say, tour guides who were involved in militant work and militia work and FARC and so on. What better people to guide you through the jungle than these guys? So we are excited about next year and about the possibility of us doing a lot more together. And I'm dying to come back to Colombia always to drink some aguardiente and eat the amazing food and fruits you guys make.
Please take me
No, please.
next time as they.
Hey. You have to come here, and we really invite people to come and see. And what I love about Mejdi is it's their approach to travel. And I think that that's what we are doing here, and is use the tourism as a tool for peace building, you know, and what all has to be not just putting the conflict under the rock, but using everything to create amazing and transformative experiences, both for the local people and for our hosts and for the travelers. So we are really inviting you guys to come here and enjoy this amazing country and all it has to offer.
Yes.
Thank you both so much. Are there any questions from our listeners before we wrap up? Go ahead, Maria.
Well, no, I just want to say that the other thing I would like to recognize is I also look up for Mercy. Like, I love the job you do, but I found that the fact that is in your core, because when I see the approachment you get to other places with this experience of peace building, where you recognize that tourism must come for the locals and work that is together with combatants, with cooks, with like the local people. That's when you understand people know when they talk about peace. And that's what I think works the most, and is the only way we can really build this community again. So thanks very much for having us here, and of course you have a home in Colombia. You can come anytime you wanna. Please make sure you have a lot of time, because there is a lot to see, and yes, always welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you both for joining us today. It was very, very interesting, and definitely gives us the need to leave our home in this quarantine and travel to Colombia. We always say to our listeners that traveling on Google Maps or on pictures and videos is a helpful tool these days. And I'll just remind everyone that we have a photo contest that is very relevant to today's show. The topic is food, so you can send us pictures until this Saturday, and we'll be announcing the winner on Monday. You have the email on the screen right now. It's info@medjitours.com, and you'll be winning. The winner actually will receive one of Aziz's books, Crossing Boundaries. So it's also a good way to use your time during quarantine.
Amazing.
Yeah, and well, Maria, you should participate and send some photos.
I'm gonna win.
I was gonna say a lot of what I wrote actually comes from Latin America, and definitely in the book. And Colombia shows up quite a few times. Places like Egipto, which is a neighborhood in Bogota that maybe in one of the episodes we'll talk about. Cartagena, the Afro. We didn't talk today about the minority groups, Afro-Colombian communities that I talk a lot about as well, and meeting with organizations in Cartagena that were doing incredible work and involving the communities. So Colombia has a lot of good models for responsible travel. But I also just want to say thank you. Well, thank you to Kim and everybody here, Miguel and Maria and everyone else who joined us. And without you, this wouldn't happen. We wouldn't keep doing this if people don't come and listen and send us their notes and their ideas of how we do that. We thank you also for your donations and for the support you are showing to this to our show. And I just want to say, I guess, while we staying physically distant, please stay connected. And thank you, and goodbye from Mejdi.
Bye-bye. Join us
Goodbye.
again.
Goodbye to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.